from Indonesia, and welcome to the online Giant class, the second sessions for today. And then this online joint class between Telkom University and University Technology Mara UITM under the topic Design Class, Corporate Design and Graphic Design issue. Continue this afternoon class. We are back again with the excellent speakers, Miss Nurfaiza Muhammad Pahmi. We are back again, Miss, from UITM, and also Bapak Novian Daniel Graha SSN MSN, our lecturer from Telkom University. This online joint class is collaborative program between Telkom University Indonesia and University Technology Mara UITM Malaysia. My name is Flo, and from International Office of Telkom University, and I will be the chairperson of our OJC this afternoon. I'd like to also send the warmest greeting to all students from Telkom University and all students from University Technology Mara, Malaysia, and all beloved students coming to this online joint class design class session 2. During the online class, I hope all students participant can turn on the video. And then also on this OJC, there will be also a forum of question and answer. And also discussions, so the students may leave or drop questions in the chat box or from chat box Zoom, or you could also turn your microphone to ask directly to our speaker, yeah, Miss Faiza and Pak Denny. At the end of this session, we will have the photo session and closing, and I hope you can turn on the camera when the photo sessions. We also need to remind you to mute your microphone while you are listening to the presentations. And at the end of the meeting, remember also to share your thought to filling out the feedback for this online join class by clicking the feedback link later. Will be shared in the chat box. Now, let's enjoy learning topic in the session 2. We have the first speaker, our lecturer from Telkom University, Bapak Denny. Bapak Denny, are you ready, Pak?
Oke. Uh,
Sudah bisa share, Pak.
Oke.
Oke, Bapak Denny, screen is yours.
Oke. Kelihatan ya?
Ya, sudah Pak, kelihatan Pak. It's visible.
Hello everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Denny, and I'm lecturer in graphic design department in visual communication study program at Telkom University. And in this presentation, I will to present the other side of graphic design. This is the phenomenon of contemporary society and graphic design. Okay. This keyword from this presentation. This is a contemporary, modernism, and traditional idiom. What is the contemporary? Contemporary is cultural study is depth of big narrative and rise of small narrative. Big narrative is globalism, modernism, capitalism, and small narrative is local identity. And contemporary is semangat zaman or spirit of life, or in the case, this is to respond the current issue and condition like climate change, gender, or other issue in the design in contemporary is so evolving, ever changing, and contemporary in the study of philosophy has a factor of justice, parody, kitsch, and schizophrenia. And the contemporary phenomena is about a generation gap and about the technology disruption like NFT, cloud computing, dynamic identity, and AI. And contemporary is in graphic design. divided in three parts. The first is discourse on design criticism and discourse on social design, kemudian identity discourse in design practice. Jadi ini presentasi is not how to make logo, how to make brand, how to make aesthetic graphic, how to make communication media. It's about a discourse. This is wacana gitu. Discourse is how to graphic design can use contribution and humanity or ecology is like that. In the first one, this is everyone maybe know how is Paul Serre and Natasha Jian is a most influencer designer in global hood. Is experience into making solution graphic design for corporation and others, and the contemporary issue today is he argument or design must be a medium for social change or cultural expression, and design can influence culture and society at large. And the other one, Natasha Zen, is most influential design on global, and he work associate design in Instagram, the most agency, graphic design agency. He say design thinking is big IT bullshit. Design thinking is omong kosong gitu. Is phenomenon, is luar biasa gitu ya. Sementara other designer making design, making branding, but they say like the second issue in contemporary issue in graphic design is tentang ini ya, tentang wacana atau discourse on social design. I think sociality is not new phenomena, new phenomena, but there is strength gitu ya, menguat. Saya kira masalah social design itu pernah dimulai oleh Victor Papanek and Ivan Illich, Victor Papanek about augmentarian design, Ivan Illich about how to society is legal cross about teknologi, kemudian mungkin how to design no brand, no commercial, no capitalism, advocation to buruh apa ya, buruh ya, kerja, and David Berman and maybe Tristan Harris, how to design, how to people can time well spent to menghindari teknologi gitu. Sementara Ken Garland dan Rich Werner itu juga making a manifesto in design, and the first thing manifesto is manifesto to counter the komersialisasi, kapitalisasi in using graphic design. The conclusion is graphic design is not just about creating a beautiful visual. It's about crafting narrative, crafting aesthetic, and embracing social responsibility. It's luar biasa ya. Ada perubahan fenomena gitu. Bahwa it's not about how to logo, how to media. It's about how humanitarian and ecology vulnerability gitu. Yang ketiga, ya ini wacana yang ketiga dalam contemporary graphic is how to identity or authenticity make design practice gitu, menjadi cara untuk mempraktek desain. Saya kira ini divide in the part modernism with tradition and traditional idiom gitu. Maybe Joseph Muller-Brueggemann or Armin Hoffman or Emil Ruder, the most designer in uh, awal modernisme di mana mereka adalah para perintis modernisme dengan gagasan di graphic design for Swiss international modernism like that. And maybe you know who is Massimo Finelli, who published the new book, Bible book from graphic design, where the design is must be construct with a grid system, with a white space, with structural component and element like that. Nah, kemudian ini di bagian kedua ini ada juga modernisme tetapi dengan esensi tradisi gitu ya. Seperti Kenihara mungkin ya. Kenihara is a graphic Japanese graphic design where design a sense of Japanese tradition in the modern design in very ini kuat banget gitu ya. Kemudian yang ketiga adalah traditional idiom. Desainer Indonesia like Pak Hermawan Tansil, Hilmi Altuni in Hubei, like to use idiom or element-element tradisi in his design. This is identity, is a phenomenon of in contemporary to graphic design. What how condition in Indonesia? Indonesian contemporary. I will to present Indonesian contemporary graphic design scene day. This is exhibition from AGI. AGI is Asosiasi Desain Grafik Indonesia, the professional graphic design Indonesia. And this is uh, mengumpulkan sekitar 100 desainer, kemudian mereka berpresentasi, berwacana, berdiskusi tentang desain gitu ya. Dan ini sangat luar biasa banyak dan ini adalah penyebaran atau deployment Indonesian Contemporary Graphic Design Scene in development. This is where mereka ada di ini ada beberapa kota besar gitu di Indonesia. Ini misalnya di Jakarta terutama, Bogor, Bandung, Jogja, Solo. Ini adalah beberapa desainer yang ada di Indonesia dengan kategori sebagai desainer muda, yang desainer. Dan mereka ternyata dia saja berpraktek. It's not a practice in design, but it's have discourse, have wacana gitu ya, have discourse to discussion and publishing with book and others. And they have association AGI or IDEA and ASPRODI and ICODI International Council of Design. This is a practice and how to design and project design like visual branding, visual graphic, environmental graphic, event graphic, assistant graphic, museum graphic, motion graphic, and today Indonesia is developed and more on more typofondry, like typofondry is membuat huruf ya, membuat space yang luar biasa banyaknya. Kemudian juga mereka juga punya retorika metafora setelah saya pecah menjadi itu setelah dianalisis menjadi dua hal, yaitu yang mereka berbasis modernisme dan tradisi idiom tradisi gitu. Ini suasana bagaimana mereka berkumpul, berkomunaliti gitu ya. Dalam praktek mereka they have Bintaro Design District and Design Week and other event, and their publish their design in a book, in science like that. And It's the new phenomena in contemporary graphic design in Indonesia. The first is ribbon resoprint and hand press print. Riso is uh, fotokopi ya, mesin fotokopi yang sudah sangat lama tapi sekarang lagi ramai lagi. Kemudian ada aktivitas juga cetak dengan menggunakan hand press yang juga sudah lama, kemudian ribbon, kemudian menjadi sekarang balik lagi gitu ya. Kemudian yang juga menarik adalah sebenarnya adanya art book fair yang menjadi event melting pot untuk mereka berkomunikasi, berkolaborasi, membuat gagasan-gagasan, diskurs-diskurs tentang desain Indonesia, tentang desain global, tentang relasi how to relation with the global graphic designer. Uh, ini menarik sekali sekarang gitu. This is my analysis buat practice and design graphic Indonesia divide into part. The first is modernism style, maybe modernism style, and the second is traditional idiom. The most influence in modernism is maybe Andi Rahmat. This is principal design for Nusaya Studio. Kemudian di sini ada Kresna. Kresna is have a concept about the graphic as neo Indonesian graphic design. And then is graphic style design like this is modernism from Andi like this and from Kresna like this decorative. This is a minimalism, white space, grid system, rule, and others. And the other side from Kresna is decorative, is vernacular graphic, is full color. Uh, this is other work art work design from thinking room, very modernism. This is the work from the beberapa studio yang membuat karya-karya berbasis idiom tradisi. Agni, ada Wanara Studio, ada Pot Branding, ada Trisula. Mereka menggunakan idiom-idiom tradisi untuk mengeksplor dan membuat desain. Ini karya dari Pot Branding yang lain, ada yang muncul seperti ini, juga ada yang sangat gitu ya, misalnya kayak Stepi dari Jogja seperti ini. Kalau kita lihat like graphic design from global designer seperti ini, si Stepi ini kayak seperti ini nih. Kemudian juga di aspek desain ini lagi banyak muncul tipe foundry di Indonesia, sangat banyak sekali. Yang paling sangat berpengaruh itu adalah Toko Type and Tegami Type gitu. Mereka membuat huruf-huruf yang luar biasa bagus. This discourse in graphic design Indonesia today. Lily Bong from Qualita represent ecologist discourse, and maybe Ahmad Taufik from Makassar about design autonomy, relation and government. Kemudian juga Sani misalnya discourse go design discourse business. Ramadan Karyata from Samarinda Reactualization and Policies Manifesto, and discourse of neurodivergent like this. Kemudian juga ada yang paling menarik sebenarnya adalah wacana-wacana tentang harus adanya kritik desain gitu, yang digagas oleh Aulia Akbar atau Besot. Kemudian di sini ada modernisme ideologis, ada kultural ideologis, kemudian ada juga desain ekosistem, kemudian ada juga desain itu sebaiknya ya untuk small and medium enterprise. Jadi so ideologies from the studio graphic design Indonesia today. and it's very, very excited. The most influence in this course maybe is Aulia Akbar is one designer is design Indonesia is designing Nusantara logo IKN discussing dan dia mewacanakan tentang desain kritik, kemudian harus membuat desain itu berbase of Indonesian culture. He's published a book, is namely Terra Incognita, is more ideological book in graphic design Indonesia. In the process of logo of IKN, like this, Auli Akbar used the idiom tradition Indonesia, namely is pohon hayat or Kalpataru as a visual asset ide in Power Logo, and then pohon hayat feeding in other place in Indonesia, from the Sulawesi, Papua, Jawa, kemudian di Sumatera gitu ya. Jadi ada semua dan itu di akhirnya dimunculkan menjadi sebuah gagasan logo untuk IKN seperti ini. Kemudian yang menarik juga dalam konteks kontemporer sekarang di Indonesia adalah adanya vernacular graphic heritage gitu ya yang dikumpulkan dikumpulkan kemudian dijadikan buku didiskusikan. Salah satunya adalah tentang grafik Nusantara. Grafis Nusantara is a collectible label and sticker in maybe zaman Jepang gitu ya, zaman dulu lah, zaman belum sekarang gitu. Jadi mereka kumpulkan dan mereka ternyata punya karakter khas gitu tentang grafik-grafik vernakular zaman dulu gitu di Indonesia. Kemudian ada komunitas juga wacana-wacana yang membangun tentang inspirasi topografi vernakular dan tipografi berbasis tradisi ini, dan mereka komunitasnya ada di Solo ya, pimpinannya ada Mas Isa itu mereka berkumpul dan membuat buku juga, mereka berkumpul dan membangun sebuah entitas, sebuah komunitas bagaimana how to vernacular typography can exist in graphic design contemporary. Okay. Conclusion about how to making idiom tradition in modernism design. Everyone designer must understand of diversity and in cultural aesthetic. It's about a matter of feeling gitu. Ini tentang perasaan gitu, membuat estetik yang kultural dalam desain grafis itu bukan soal logika gitu, tetapi ini adalah soal rasa gitu. Jadi soal grid system dalam desain modern ini akan gugur. Maka yang dimunculkan adalah rasanya, itu rasa yang munculkan. Kemudian ini adalah teori yang sedang saya pelajari tentang bahwa membuat sebuah desain berbasis tradisi itu harus otomatis saling serap gitu, sehingga memunculkan bahasa-bahasa grafis yang menarik, yang mencampurkan antara beberapa bagian dari kemungkinan elemen tradisi yang ada. This is eksperimentasi in Telkom University in graphic design. We make board game with content about Sundanese cultural. His name Sarupnya itu before night gitu ya. Jadi ini cerita tentang banyaknya post, banyaknya hantu gitu, dan bagaimana selamat dari hantu itu dalam bentuk game. Kemudian kita bereksperimentasi juga tentang hilangnya sebuah suku di Maluku, dan kita adaptasi, direkonstruksi, direvitalisasi. Kemudian jadilah sebuah buku cerita dengan gaya ilustrasi terbaru yang belum pernah ada gitu. Dan kita mengadopsi konten dari cerita-cerita budaya tersebut. Kemudian kita juga mencoba membuat kemasan, gitu ya, kemasan packaging with traditional idiom. We develop a method for that. We have a method to make manuscript design, board game, destination branding, and packaging with value, cultural value, and idiom tradition. Ya, ya udah, ya kan Bu Flo, thank you.
Okay, Pak Denny, thank you. It's surprising ya, Pak. The ghost things can be something ya with little bit art.
Iya,
Hantu bisa jadi menarik ya, Pak, dengan adanya art gitu ya.
betul. Dan
Okay,
is more
alright.
hantu di Indonesia.
Iya, it's interesting. It's really interesting presentations. Alright, now thank you, Bapak Denny. Now let's continue our OGC today with the explanation from from Dr. Nurfaizah Muhammad Fahmi. Are you ready, Doctor? Miss Fahmi?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
alright.
Let me share my screen.
Yeah, screen is yours.
Alright. Bisa lihat ya? Okay.
It's visible.
Alright. Assalamualaikum semua.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you once again, Telkom you, okay, atas kolaborasi ini kan, the sharing session for online joint class, alright. Terima kasih juga Pak Denny ya atas pencerahan tadi, kongsian tadi ya. So today I'm going to share basically on the trends and patterns of graphic design. So what are we going to look after today is more on the evolution of design trends, basically looking after the trends that might be going on this upcoming um, centuries. Alright, kita udah sampai Gen Beta kan? Udah Gen Beta kan? Okay, so the
Betul.
trend is moving from Alpha to
Alpha to
Beta.
beta. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Langsung kita terus ke pattern recognition in technology-driven design. And then what are the challenges and also opportunities, the future outlook and predictions, okay? So the objective here is that to make sure that every one of us understand the evolving aesthetic and technologies by at the same time to enhance the design adaptability among the designers and also us who look after the designs, and then incorporating sustainability and also ethical practices. So talking about the evolution of design trends, kita lihat perubahan 5 tahun mendatang ya. Okay, dari 2020 where we know that everything has been designed minimalist, okay, but with bold colors. So these are some of the samples that we can see from McDonald's, Lego, and then from Spotify and then Michelin. They are concluded their advertisement or advertising using a minimalist concept, tapi lebih jelas dengan penggunaan color yang lebih terang, kan? So that we able to see the differences and also the metaphor of the message that they want to deliver. In 2021, okay, majority our design that has been applied not only in Malaysia but internationally that we observe is that most of the design applied dark mode design. Semuanya gelap, semuanya hitam, semuanya biru gelap gitu. So ini adalah some of the contoh design yang dikeluarkan pada tahun 2021. Okay, semuanya gelap. We can see over here also the colors. The color use also is likely to be from lighter color to darker color over here. Okay, and then dalam tahun 2022, it has been evolved to bold but with overlapping typography. Yang mana typografinya lebih gede, lebih besar, tapi lebih jelas dengan objektif yang ingin disampaikan oleh the owner of the brand to the targeted audience. However, in 2023, everything is maximalized. Yang tadi itu minimalis, tapi 2023 lebih kepada compact, complex. Okay, ini zaman-zaman Loki. Yang mana semuanya unpredictable. The design is all unpredictable. Composition, image use, kita boleh dikatakan kebanyakan design yang dikeluarkan semua tidak mengikut element and principle of design. Ada elemen yang diketengahkan seperti warna, penggunaan typo dan sebagainya, tapi prinsipalnya is not completely following the principle that has been structured for the designers to follow. Everything is all unpredictable. The repetition also is over repetitive. Okay, overly repeating the elements. Okay, this is during this year. However, in 2024, AI starts to dominate the world. So we able to see more photorealistic visual where it is more on a lively kind of visual, okay, adaptation of AI and also a realistic kind of visual. This is during 2024. So in 2025, this is some of the top research done where the trend's gonna be like this. Okay, so we know and we are sure that innovation is going to overcome the whole thing. Try to shape the design line. Okay, so we have covered from the AI up to the fusion kind of designation, combination of minimalism and also maximalism. Okay, and it is also can be seen di sini yang mana the trend is not only crucial for the designers, but it is also affected the marketeers in order for them to look on the brand identity. Okay, so that at the end of it, if we are aware, this has already been a starting point already, where the changing of visual landscape has been like started udah dah ada perubahan in between. Okay, where we can see AI is dominate the design landscape. Okay, so the first orang kata seperti prediction ya. Okay, probably in this era right now, the era beta ni, okay, kita akan lihat lebih banyak combination of minimalism and maximalism. Okay, where we can see that this has been like a challenge for the traditional design norms. Yang mana during that what we normally experience is that a clean kind of design, understated elegance of minimalist with a bold kind of design with vibrant colors. Okay, but this time around it's going to be combined as what we can see. Okay, so the fusion of minimalism and maximalism that we can predict is that the contrast of clean lines and also bold accent is going to be dominate. However, it controlled together with the chaotic of design where it combines together from any elements that has been proposed for that particular product. But in relation with the harmonious color palettes and also maximal detailing. Okay, contohnya kalau kita prepare brand on Inap Desa contohnya. Okay, so whatever elements that has di sekeliling Inap Desa itu akan di combine untuk dijadikan satu logo contoh. So at the end of it, a complex kind of logo design has been created with a combination of storyline of the Inap Desa example. Okay, so this application, it can be done across brand and also brand identity, and also web design together with product design. So here the prediction among the designers community in Malaysia is that when we talk about why this kind of minimalism and also maximalism can be working in the year of 2025 is that because the fusion of this both ism is that they're able to speak on the taste of the modern audience, where this modern audience, they are not only looking forward to the simplicity kind of life, but they are bold and very verbal kind of speakers. So that is why one of the reason why they predict that to have a simple kind of visual, but more hard sell kind of body copy to communicate to the targeted audience. And then the second one is AI powered generative design, where in this trends that we predict, okay, it is going to be concentrating on the processes. They are going to enable the designers, okay, to explore new possibilities, and then what are the future preferences that can be created for that particular product ataupun brand ataupun message or campaign that need to be reached to the targeted audience. So these are some of the impact on the visual design when we use the AI, okay, where we can see that the image that has been created or the visual that has been created is more customized, and also it is again personalized to that particular product or brand itself. And it is more efficient in terms of the speed, where we don't have to hire any photographers, or we don't have to hire any illustrators, and we just do search and seek help from the AI to generate the visual for us. And at the same time, it creates the data-driven creativity. So this may help the designer not only to develop an image or campaign or any design material fast, but also get the assistance from the AI to produce any body copies without having any leaking site lah in terms of the information. So the application across the industries, we can see by having the AI, okay, we can use it on web design. We can also use it on logo and branding design, products together with the packaging, 3D, not only 3D games and all that, but also can be applied on architecture design also. So based on the study also and the discussion among the designers here, it is found out that by having this, it allows a much more higher level kind of customization and also efficiency. Thus, we create an innovation kind of ideas with orang kata lebih fiction, lebih jelas, lebih orang kata out of our mind. If let's say we say about think out of your box, right? But nowadays no more already. We have to think out of this entire imagination already. So this is what is with the help of the AI, this is going to happen lah. Okay, and then the third one is bipholic design and also nature inspired. So basically, using this, it is more on the I can say recycle, natural feedbacks and all that. So bipholic design is focusing on those kind of things, eco-friendly kind of design and all that. But focusing on natural materials, like eco-friendly is more likely to be all those material yang lebih mudah untuk recycle kan. Tapi the design for bipholic design is concentrating on organic design. So the key elements of it is that the design should be focusing on natural materials. And at the same time, the second points that can be highlighted, it is more on organic shapes and also form. with natural lightings and airflows, earthy colors of palettes like this, the green color. So if let's say we talk about daun punya banyak color kan, color hijau pokok pisang, hijau daun kelapa, kan daun pandan juga punya hijau yang berbeza kan, langsung that kind of earthy colors that we meant. Okay, the pattern also can be found among the nature kind of look. Okay, macam mana kita nak create daripada sehelai daun bunga matahari, tapi diolah untuk jadi lebih orang kata vectorize ataupun lebih abstract. Okay, tapi kita tahu daripada the look of the daun bunga matahari, we able to from the look of that abstract element, we able to recognize that it is still comes from the daun bunga matahari. Example from this side over here, from the pokok, okay, we can see here the lines over here, okay, on the packaging. It is actually representing awan. Tapi yang di bawah ini, yang hanya punya white line itu the ground. However, the one with the color, it is the river. So this is what we call bifolic design. Okay, so the application, we may apply it on any architecture and also interior design, but also in terms of graphic design, it can be applied on product design together with digital design and corporate branding. So why this bifolic design can works in 2025? Because it offers a holistic approach to design that not only look beautiful, but also it actually enhance the human's well-being in promoting the environmental responsibility. So lebih nampak dia lebih simple tapi more into the natural kind of look. Okay, so bifolic. And then hyperrealism and also immersive experience. This is a combination of hyperrealism and also immersion environmental. So whatever things that has been created, it has to be fully engaged and also interact to the targeted audience, but it is out of our mind again. Okay, so why do I say that it is out of our mind? Because when it comes to 2025, the relation between human and AI is there. So that is why mostly we may see a lot of images, it is AI generated in 2025. Okay, so we can see over here also the images of the plant, the pokok, the batu, the vectors and all that. It looks kind of real, but it's actually designed by AI. With the help of AI, this has been created. Okay, so the key features of immersive design, it should be having a multi-sensory engagement and also interactive elements and also narrative driven experience. So basically, this one is more likely to be on UI UX. Okay, user you have to make sure that you are attached with the user. Okay, so the application is more on any electronic kind of marketing. Okay, whether it is a retail, e-commerce, or marketing and advertising design. But again, any electronic kind of marketing and advertising, entertainment, gaming, and also web design. So these both methods, it can transform the future kind of visual design by making it more realistic, not only realistic, but interactive with the users. Okay, so that at the end of it, the outcomes is much more impactful than the one that we have previously. Okay, and then dark mode. Remember just now, previously I did mention, we do have dark mode, but this one has been merged with a neomorphism, okay, where this will be one of the trends which going to be applied on web design. Okay, so we may see the image is more likely to be dark, background dark, tapi the image is more clear with the lighting kind of view. Okay, so the key features of neomorphism is that Shadow, we have shadow and depth, okay, but in a soft kind of way. And then the application of the image and also message is much more to be minimalism, but in a subtle way kind of gradients, okay. So this fusion of dark mode and neomorphism is that to make sure that the artwork that has been created it able to enhance the depth and also realism. At the same time, improve the usability of the campaign ataupun produk yang akan dikeluarkan by injecting some modern kind of aesthetics value. So by combining these two, okay, dark mode and also neomorphism, okay, it able to create an innovative kind of design language that not only prioritize the objective but also the function of the medium that has been created, okay. And then number 6, bold fonts and typography. Like previously we do have minimalism, tapi fontnya besar kan? Lebih focus on the dia punya maximalism is more on the typography yang besar-besar gitu. Tapi yang ini not only the font is bold, but there are experimentation of typography usage in the design, where designers are going to explore more unconventional arrangement, okay, where kita tahu kalau kita tengok movie Loki, karakter Loki-nya semua unpredictable kan, ibaratnya seperti itu. Okay, we couldn't predict where the font should be, tarikhnya di mana, kalau event poster tarikhnya di mana, tempatnya di mana, message-nya apa, we cannot predict. So this is the number 4. Okay, so lebih besar, bold, tapi arah tujunya yang mana dulu? Produce by ke? Ataupun ini dulu ke? Ataupun the string P dulu ke? So there is no direction, a specific direction that we may refer to. Okay, dan ini apa, we cannot predict what and what, okay. So the key features of typography experimentation is unexpected positions, variables kinds of font, distortion, okay, tulisan yang tiba-tiba kembang, Arial sepatutnya kecil tapi tiba-tiba jadi kembang seperti impact, okay, and it has been deconstruction, okay, diolah atau diubah, okay, daripada yang asal. Bentar ya. Okay. And then typography as the trend shaper. We able to see that typography ini yang dicipta ini, yang baru ini, yang deconstruct ini akan menjadi one of the visual element that is going to be used not only for a certain event, but it is going to be a continuous element or design by other users too or other designers too. So it is also going to be an enhancement for user engagement together with the look of the typography and the color applies on the typography. So if we talk about why it works in 2025, it is seen that this method over here actually going to shape the future of visual communication by making the design more engaging, memorable, and also immersive. Why do I say so? It's because of people are currently overtaking the law. They are not following the law. Kalau traffic light-nya, kita kata merah itu berhenti kan, hijau, kuning itu bersedia, hijau itu jalan. Tapi udah now everyone langgar the traffic light. Yang merah itu jalan, yang kuning itu teruskan lagi, yang hijau juga tetap jalan. Dia tak ada yang berhenti dekat situ. Okay, so we are currently like fighting along with the law that has been created for design, okay, especially the principle and element of design. Okay, So now we are talking about augmented reality in design. So we know that now everyone wants to do AR. Now the innovation is related to AR. So anything that is related to innovation, again, back to AR. Either it is AI or we go for AR. So that are the choices that normally when we seek for innovation design, these two are being selected, the most highest selection. Okay, so designers leverage AR to create dynamic and also multi-dimensional content that not only enhance user experience, but also helps to go from a reality, help them to experience from a reality lifestyle to no, it's from virtual kind of lifestyle, but we experience it in a reality. That is AR. So this has been implemented from several brands already. Samsung also have started this kind of design, and also we able to see many other AR merging on campaign design too. So some of the key factors of AR in shaping design, we may see from product visualization, where we explained every single thing from the product, but it includes in the or we can see or observe in the tablets or phone that we have, any applications, okay? And then immersive branding, virtual try-ons, together with enhancing learning and also visualization. Where we can apply, okay, we can apply on marketing campaigns, book design, if you see here, okay, video games, of course, retail businesses, and also artistic installation. So throughout the discussion, we may see that this is not only to help the designers to create something dynamic, but also at the same time, it engage the content by capturing the audience attention, and also help them to interact with the main message that they want to deliver. And then 8 is sustainable and also eco-friendly. Okay, just now we have seen the one that is biophilic kan, focusing on natural materials, but this is more on eco-friendly kind of design, where it is focusing on sustainability and also eco-friendly practices. Okay, so anything that has been created able to recycle. So this is what we call as sustainable and also eco-friendly design. So the key factors of this is that we are looking forward on the eco-friendly materials, where kalau direndam di dalam air masih boleh dihancurkan, example. Okay, and then energy efficient production, tidak menjana electricity yang kuat, contoh, okay? And then circular design and reusability, okay? This is focusing on the material that has been chosen. Minimalist and also efficient design, and then looking forward on the digital design and also dematerializations, okay? And then also we look after sustainable packaging design. So these are some of the key points that we need to ensure that when we want to choose eco-friendly and also sustainable design, we have to look at these key points, okay? Supaya tidaklah tersasar daripada the aim of eco-friendly and also sustainable. Okay. And then the benefit of having sustainable and also eco-friendly design is to ensure that it able to reduce environmental impact. Okay, supaya kita boleh guna pakai balik the materials. Okay, and then it also able to create the consumer's trust and also brand loyalty. And then long-term saving, of course, and then regulatory compliance, and also the positive brand image. So where can we apply this is that of course, normally we always see it on branding identity and then packaging design. And we do have also building and architecture together with fashion. So by adopting this kind of practices, we may see that the designers create products, okay, not only to see how aesthetic the design is, but also we are focusing on the functional needs before and after. Okay, before when it is currently used, but after is when the thing is no more longer to be used. Can it be recycled or not? Okay, I somehow like the way Japan adapt this kind of eco-friendly kind of sampah sarap where they automatically has been divided the sampah, the wet rubbish and also the dry rubbish, bottles, plastic, also they have been divided kan. So this is the things that we need to conclude or we have to think of whenever we try to create the design which include the sustainability and also eco-friendly kind of theme. Okay. So glitch arts and also digital production. Okay, I think this kind of design has been used in the year of 2000, early 2000. Okay, but it is going to be repeatedly used by the new generation, I can say, where nowadays, throughout our observation, students nowadays like to use Y2K, where Y2K is during my time, millennial, okay, during when I was in schooling, okay, so now they are back to that era again, where they have this kind of glitch and digital production into their design, so they are adapting glitch art into digital production. So we can see this kind of design previously being used by those Y2K people, okay, and now they are merging it with the AI and also AR into the design. So the key elements of it is that they are looking for pixelization, distortion, color shift, okay, any noise, okay, the wave and all that, okay, and then fragmentation. They play around with a lot of layering also, okay, temporal disruptions, also, and then they are looking for more retrofuturism kind of digital usage, like the one that I said just now, the Y2K kind of design, and include together with the 3D glitch effects. And then it can be seen over here, it is used not only on any promotional items or branding design, but it is also used in game design. We can see, in fact, for Super Mario games, right? If let's say previously we play brick game, I'm not sure. Miss Flo, do you play brick game previously?
Yes, I played.
You play brick game, right?
Yeah.
It's all pixelate, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, it returns back to that kind of design where
Yes,
they
yeah.
are looking forward on the pixelation and all that. And then fashion also, it is again back to the previous years kan, during the millennial kind of fashion design. So that is why when it comes to this, when we talk about why does these people try to adapt with glitch design, is that because they want to challenge the conventional ideas, okay, to see whether this idea can be adapt with the new idea or not. So they start to form a dynamic kind of creativity that not only tolerate with the technologies, but also trying to tolerate with the new generation kind of designers here, okay. So this one is one of the main thing that we need to recognize, okay, even though we have used a lot of other trends that, as what I mentioned, even though in the year 2000 we have this kind of trends up to 2025, okay, but one thing that you need to aware is that it is the pattern. So every brand, every characters that we try to propose, it has one kind of pattern to be recognized by the consumers. Okay, example, do you know what pattern is this at the background? Okay, it is Louis Vuitton kan. Kita tahu
LV,
ini
LV.
LV punya brand. Okay,
Yeah.
so this pattern recognition is to enable every one of us to identify the brand by the look of it. So it helps the designer not only to easily recognize or easily create the look, okay, but at the same time it is not easy for you to make sure the look or the pattern to be sustained tau. When you create the pattern, sometimes it can be forgotten easily, okay, but to make it sustain, there are few processes that we need to consider, okay. So you need to make sure that in the new generation right now or current era right now, how can we apply this is that by looking forward on the application and benefits, where we know that AI and also automation in design is very, very broad to be used. Okay, so we try to enhance the design not only by using AI but also we try to seek AI's help to generate the data and also recognize the pattern by automating the task. Okay, but this is to ensure that every single things that we create at the end of it, the pattern that we create, it is efficient and also creatively enough to be recognized by the targeted audience. And then the data-driven user experience, this one is UI UX lah basically. Okay, it has to be orang kata tailored to the design that you have proposed, whereby we try to engage the student pula, user interest and also how do they experience on the things that has been created there, okay, whether they are satisfied with the design ataupun product or not, okay. And then the challenge and also future outlook, when we talk about challenges in implementation, okay, we are aware that these challenges is not only on the design that we are creating, but also the data privacy, which include together with the balancing technology. Okay, how are we going to negotiate between human creativity with AI punya creativity? Okay, AI helps us to innovate things, new things. They know, okay, walaupun diorang tu bukan manusia, tapi they have the access of what has been done and what not been done. Okay, so we seek for their helps to get to know what are the new innovation things that we can apply or we can design. But I always remind this to my students lah, basically. Jangan pandang rendah pada diri sendiri. Allah tu maha kaya kan? Dia udah create manusia tu dengan akal dan fikiran. Langsung, we use our mind, our akal untuk mohon bantuan daripada AI to come out with a new ideas, but to execute it, kita guna segala kemampuan yang kita ada to produce one. That is the main thing. So we have to complement each other. Okay, I somehow ask my students if let's say they want to ask or seek help from the AI, okay, ChatGPT example, try to like talk to the ChatGPT like how they talk to me. Okay, seek help like how they try to talk to the human being. So that is one of the challenge lah kan. Sometimes we misuse the keywords, the AI will give us another thing. Okay, so that is another challenge that we may face on. Okay, future of pattern recognition in design. So it helps us to enhance design adaptability by leveraging the AI. It is not only to create dynamic kind of look, but also enable us to personalize the UX lah, and also the innovation solution. So what are the challenges and opportunities that we might face and see in the future is that the first one is more on the technological kind of changes, where there's a lot of other applications that has been updated, okay? And then the data privacy consent also, sometimes we easily get in touch with other privacy messages, okay, and information. and then balancing creativity in automation also. So we might see there's a lot of challenges, but in order for us to keep in par, okay, in the same pace with the rapid technology, we have to make sure that we able to maintain the human touch. This is the one that I said just now. Okay. How do we want to make sure that we as a human being masih berguna untuk mereka cipta satu-satu karya tu. Okay. And then second, the opportunities in graphic design. Okay, there are three also I would like to highlight, which is the first one is the innovation through technology. We able to seek help. We able to do a lot of references in terms of innovation. But at the same time, we have to make sure that we apply together the demand on sustainable design. We know, and in fact, in Indonesia also are facing the same thing. Our community is growing right now. Kan? Di Indonesia berapa juta? Bukan juta lagi kan? Berapa orang?
Miliar.
Miliar kan?
Miliar ya.
Sama juga di Malaysia juga kan?
Betul.
Manusia makin bertambah. Jadi, how are we going to make sure that it is sustained? Okay, we able to make sure that even though we want to attach with the global market, tapi macam mana kita nak attach dengan kita punya targeted audience. So this is one of the things that we need to make sure that we aware in order to offer the creativity that we have created. Okay, we have to make sure that everything can be influencing them. Okay, I always also highlighted to my students about AIDA model. Okay, the first thing, it is concentrating on how do we want to attract, how do we want to create interest among them, how do we want to have their, make them desire, okay, and how to make sure they make the action to go to that particular product or particular campaign, okay? And then this is the strategic approach where we have to make sure that at the end of it, every single things that we have created, able to embrace the lifelong learning. And also we have to make sure that we focus on the user-centric design also, but at the same time, leverage the innovation for growth. Okay, so this may include continuous skill development because we know every single days we have to update our phone. Every single days we have to update our laptop, example, iPads and all that. Not only those gadget has to be updated, but us as a human being, we have to be updated too. We have to make sure that we ourselves, we develop ourselves by adapting to the new technologies that has been developed. Example, when we talk about designing, the normal application that we use is Adobe. In fact, Adobe right now, it has been upgraded to another level. So yes, you have to make sure that you have the accessibility of doing design, okay, by making sure that every single thing you do is reflecting to the design landscape itself, okay? So the future outlook in graphic design that we may see, okay, we will see a lot of technological integration where we can see AI, AR, UI, UX, it integrate each other, okay, and it develop based on the creativity and immersive experience. Okay, example like this video over here, okay, where from the ads itself, we can see that the buyer, they can try the baju, okay, by clicking one side, they able to see how if let's say they wear the choice of baju that they have selected, okay, once again, okay, by clicking one on the apps, so she can see what happened if let's say she wear this baju and what happened if let's say she wear another baju, okay. So sustainability and ethics, where it focus on eco-friendly practices and also social responsibility, inclusive design. So Body Shop has started this campaign where it makes sure that the social responsible is there, okay, for us to still make use of the 3R over there, okay. So the prediction for the design landscape in the future, okay, personalization and also customization where it tailored the individual preferences. Okay. Ini siapa yang orang Liverpool dekat sini dan siapa Manchester dekat sini. Okay. Jangan gaduh-gaduh. Okay. Alright. So this is to make sure that we have the individual preferences for us to have the user engagement over there. Okay. And then cultural and also global influence where we integrate the diverse cultural elements for a global design appeal. Okay, supaya kita lihat itu tenang, kita lihat benda tu cantik, kita lihat juga kita dapat maklumat yang lebih jelas. That is the thing that we need to make sure when we create one design, we able to attach with the targeted audience. So as for the summary, design trends up to 2025, we can see there's a development from a normal basic kind of design, but at the end of it, it has the technological integration, and at the same time, it applies the sustainability kind of aim and also user personalization. So this kind of things, it is going to be not, I think, around 2 to 3 years, upcoming 2 to 3 years lah. AI and AR is going to be dominate the entire design world. So I guess that's all from me. Good luck, everyone, and thank you.
You're welcome. It is really nice presentations. It's really wide open. I think that's 2025. It's really open, yeah, like a room for everything, yeah, Miss.
Yeah, yeah.
Not only for today's trend, but like then or the latest trend or until maybe the yesterday trend, maybe 80s trend can be comes
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, nowadays they start to adopt retro kind of design too. Okay, where the pop arts of design they try to apply it to here in Malaysia lah. But I'm not sure Pak Denny, mungkin di Indonesia gimana ya? Juga gitu ya, adaptation of design. They apply millennial kind of design, pop art, retro kind of design, ada ya di sana?
Ada banyak juga dok. Jadi, mereka juga bikin komunitas-komunitas sendiri yang mengadaptasi seperti gitulah teknologi segala macam. Jadi ada komunitas-komunitas tersendiri sebenarnya.
It's like that lah,
Okay.
Miss. Yeah.
All right. So it's really interesting this afternoon. So students, I think and I guess and I'm positive that all of you have questions. So please drop your question into the chat box or you can turn on your mic and then you can ask directly to the speakers. Come on, students. Or can I ask that one thing? Pak Pak Denny and Miss Faiza. I have a friend works in NFT.
Okay.
So yeah, so what is NFT by the way? I mean like is it kind of trends or art also, or I'm not really sure what is that. So because he always talk about the NFT, but I'm not really sure about that.
Maybe Dr. Ija can answer
NFT in
jawab ya.
design or what? In design?
NFT, yeah, in design,
Yeah.
pixelize something because he sells a pixel art into NFT. Is it a media or what is that? Maybe.
I think it's a trend, Miss Flo.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
trend.
like
Trend is beberapa juga mulai jatuh kan, gitu.
yeah. Dia
Okay.
seperti if I'm not mistaken, it's something like coding kind of things lah. I'm not mistaken.
But is it for art? Is it for art or for everything?
It can create arts also inside that, if I'm not mistaken. I am not how there's digital arts, musicians that has in NFT too. It is more like a non-fund, what do we call that? Funding, fungible. Wait, I can't remember the name of it, but
Oh, so it's a part of trend, yeah,
fungible,
maybe. I mean,
yeah,
digital trend, yeah.
non-fungible token. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, non-fungible token.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Our students, a question from our students. Diana, do you want to ask directly, maybe? Hello, Diana.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, wait. Where is Diana?
Diana
Okay.
Izzati.
Yeah. You may ask.
Okay. Wait. So since we are talking about the trends and patterns, like Miss Faiza talk about the topic, do we still have to consider about the target audiences when we create a design, like posters or packagings, or we can just follow the trends? Okay, for example, the maximalism trends, it's not everyone likes it. So is it a good thing for us to always following the trends?
Will be answer first, Bapak Denny or Miss Faiza?
Yeah, I think the solution of design is maybe it's no style, but is take of style uh, apa ya, tergantung message-nya gitu ya. Jadi apakah tren ini juga dia bisa menjadi digunakan atau tidak gitu. Kita lihat message-nya itu, pesannya. Jika pesannya dia membutuhkan tren seperti itu, sepertinya minimalis atau enggak gitu. Itu sepertinya bisa digunakan gitu. Kalau saya gitu sih. Jadi enggak, kan trend forecasting boleh use your design, tapi kita harus jujur terhadap pesan yang harus disampaikan dalam packaging, dalam poster dan apa gitu, sehingga itu bisa ya menyelesaikan masalahnya dari desain itu. Flow.
Okay. How about Miss Faiza?
For me, we still have to consider the targeted audience because, macam Dayan cakap tadi kan, tak semua orang akan suka maximalism. Okay, mungkin this particular target audience, they love to have a simpler kind of design. So simpler kind of design probably more on the sustainability kind of design. Mungkin. Jadi berbalik, dia akan follow kepada produk kita, target audience kita, dan mockup pula target market kita. So if we know the we know the product, we might know who are the target audience. So from the target audience, we need to study pula target marketnya gimana, apa target market dia, lifestyle dia macam mana social life dia, color apa yang dia suka, combination yang macam mana dia suka. So baru kita boleh create the trends, or not to create, follow which trends or which theme that might be useful for the particular products. Thank you, Flo.
Okay. How, Diana, is it satisfied, or you have like next questions, another questions, a follow-up question?
I think that's enough
That's enough.
for answering my question. Okay, thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you. Okay, we invite another students to ask a questions to Miss Faiza and Mbak Denny. You can drop in the chat box or maybe turn on the mic and then you ask directly. Please. Another question.
Assalamualaikum. Can I have a question for Miss Faiza?
Okay. Oh, who is it?
I'm Muhammad Hanif Daniel from
Oh,
UiTM.
Hanif, sorry.
I have a
Hanif
question.
ya? Hanif ya?
Yeah.
Hanif, okay. Okay, you can ask directly.
Okay. I have a question. Earlier, Miss Faiza tell us about top 10 predict for graphic design trend, right? On Miss Faizah sendiri punya opinion, what your opinion on a trend actually? It could be a trend on this year or next year. Maybe it's different from the top 10 by community. Maybe share with us.
Personal preference ya for Miss Faiza and Pak Denny maybe after this ya.
Okay. When we talk about trends, okay, as I mentioned just now, probably this trend we prolong up to another 2 or 3 years sampailah orang jumpa benda baru selain daripada AI dan AR. That is my perceptions ataupun andaian. Okay. So, selagi mana wujudnya AI, orang akan tetap gunakan AI untuk create something new. And also the trends might be stopped at one time, okay, when people start to get bored with the thing. Itu jawapan saya.
Pak Denny mungkin bagaimana Pak tren ke depan Pak?
Eh, aku malah agak agak pesimis dengan existing AI, because AI, algoritma AI itu bisa mengolah berbagai sumber aset visual kan, hingga dia jadi sangat pintar gitu, jadi sangat pintar dan sangat tidak memperjelas ini dari mana sih, ini Malaysia, ini Asia, ini Indonesia. Suatu saat akan pada titik itu gitu, hingga menurut saya sih saya masih berpendapat agak bahaya gitu. Walaupun saya lihat ada opportunity yang besar di AI, karena AI sendiri kan bukan hanya visual ya, ada beberapa yang sangat menarik di situ gitu. Tapi pada titik ini sih sepertinya akan terjadi apropriasi aset visual, saling ambil gitu di algoritma. Kemudian ini pada titik itu sih agak bahaya kelihatannya, walaupun ya mungkin tadi setuju dengan Dr. Ija bahwa sebenarnya ada di akal kita gitu loh. Mengolahnya ada di kreativitas kita bisa mengolah seperti apa gitu kan, dia dididik oleh manusia juga kan di AI itu gitu. Kayak gitu Miss Flo.
Okay, Pak Denny. Hanif, is it answered your questions or any follow-up questions?
This is enough for me. Thank
It's
you.
enough. Thank you, Hanif. All right. So I invite another students to ask directly for our discussions.
Hi,
Hi,
I
what's your
have a
name?
question. My name
Okay.
is Imadi.
Nadim? Sorry?
Imadi,
Imadi.
yes.
Okay.
So I
Wait,
have a
hang on ya,
question.
hang on.
All right.
Okay, right.
So
Yeah,
I have a
please.
question about how can designers anticipate and adapt to emerging trends?
Bagaimana desainer bisa beradaptasi ya? How can designer can adapt?
Yes,
Okay, to trend. Okay.
to the following trends.
Okay, right. Pak Denny or Miss Faiza first?
Ya, saya sebentar aja.
Okay,
Saya
right.
sempat ngobrol sama pelaku trend forecasting di UK. Trend forecasting in design or fashion or graphic is a product, it's not a method. And product bisa digunakan atau tidak digunakan gitu. Sekarang misalnya apakah bisa diadaptasi langsung digunakan? Boleh, kalau nggak butuh juga boleh juga gitu. Jadi sebenarnya dia itu produk juga gitu sebenarnya. Jadi apa kita harus beradaptasi? Ya harus sih gitu, tapi nggak mesti harus digunakan juga gitu, karena ada beberapa tadi pertimbangan tadi gitu, bahwa ini siapa target audiennya. Yang paling repot sekarang adalah client have reference gitu ya. Client have more reference, and choice is my choice gitu kan. Jadi seperti itu, karena seperti itu sih Miss Flo.
Okay, Miss Faiza.
Saya somehow saya setuju sama Pak Denny because to talk about anticipate and also adapting itu berbalik pada manusia tu sendiri, sama ada to follow or not to follow the trends. Okay, kalau kegunaannya is to follow the trends, with the specific targeted audience. Terus lanjut aja kan, ikut aja trend tu. Tapi kalau rasa kegunaannya udah takat ini aja, jangan ikut. Tak perlu ikut. Okay, that is the thing. Tapi again, I would like to highlight this, talking about adapting to the emerging trends, it is very subjective. Back to the main objective of the project that you want to do. Okay, hence you may find out what are the suitable design to be applied on the particular project. Thank you, Flo.
Yeah, okay. Imadi, is it answer your questions? Any other follow-up question?
No, thank you. Thank you to
Okay.
Miss Faiza and thank you to Pak Din.
Okay. Okay, you want to ask another question? Oh, no. Okay. All right. Another question maybe before we nearly end the sessions. We still have around 20 minutes. 15 to 20. Oh, I know. Okay, I know.
Hello, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
So, my question is, um, other than AR or AI, what innovative methods can designer use to combine Malaysian and Indonesian cultural and heritage elements, such as a pattern or maybe batik or songket, in the branding designs, while keeping it, while maintaining modernism in the designs? Yeah, that's my questions.
Combination between collaboration maybe between Malaysia and Indonesia design. Who will be answer first, Pak Denny or Miss Faiza? Mau siapa dulu yang menjawab? Pak Denny? Silakan Pak.
Okay.
Soalan tu Pak Denny.
I think it's more opportunity gitu ya, menggabungkan antara, karena gini, base konsepnya itu antara Indonesia dan Malaysia itu adalah Nusantara. And Nusantara itu the define is Southeast Asia, and can combine of idiom tradition, element of Bugis in Malaysia, Jawa, is luar biasa gitu. Ya, nanti kan akan menemukan bahasa graphic language yang baru malah gitu. Jadi menurut saya sih tetap heritage dipertahankan, tetapi inovasi, kolaborasi dan eksplorasi seperti ini akan menemukan hal yang baru. Maka saya lagi mempertahankan teori osmosis itu sebagai silang budaya, sebagai pencampuran budaya gitu. Itu sangat memungkinkan justru ke depan kayaknya Asia Tenggara punya identitas itu gitu. Itu Bu Dokter.
Iza.
Ya. Soalan tu berat untuk dijawab. Okay, tapi kalau dilihat keuntungan dia is that Indonesia and Malaysia almost the same. Bahasanya juga almost the same, cuma ada yang sedikit berbeza. Okay, tapi when it comes to the cultures, also almost the same. Kita di Indonesia juga punya orang Minang, di Malaysia juga punya orang Minang, orang Jawa juga punya. How do we collaborate is by merging the similarities. Tapi karakteristik mungkin berbeza. Dari segi elemen dia mungkin berbeza, tapi Allah tu Maha Kaya, create kita sebagai manusia untuk mempertimbangkan yang mana boleh digabungkan dan yang mana tak boleh digabungkan. Okay, contohnya kalau element of a certain culture and heritage, yes. Tapi with the assistance of the AI, mungkin kita boleh fikir tentang innovation, but we have to make sure that patah balik kepada kuasa Allah tadi, berfikir apa novelty-nya. Kita kena fikir apa yang kita sendiri as a human being has create to ensure that this is being created by human, not created by the AI itself. Mungkin itulah jawapannya. Jawab tak, Jojo?
I know.
Yeah.
How about that? Jojo, how about that, Jojo?
Yeah, that's all. I think is menjawab lah.
Okay.
Macam tak puas hati.
Nanti you have another session maybe with Miss Faiza, yeah. Oh, you ITM student, right, Miss Faiza?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
been seeing Syed Ryan since morning. Syed Ryan was here since morning, kan?
Yeah,
Dari
yeah,
pagi.
yeah. Side Ryans.
Ya, Miss.
Okay, bagus Dia sering catat nota dia. Okay, thank you,
Mau
Flo.
nanya sesuatu nggak, Side Ryan? Mau
Jadi,
bertanya tak?
Belum kepikiran, Miss. Belum
Oh,
kepikiran.
belum pikiran. Oh, yes, tell you students ya. Tanya
Yes.
aja apa aja boleh. Okay, if you want to ask the question, please raise your hand. So I'm not hard for you. I'm not hard to looking for your name, ya. Okay, Dina. Wait, Dina.
Hi. Hello.
Silakan Dina.
Hi. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam, Dina.
I'm just wondering if us designers want to add symbolism or hidden details to our design or any kind of medium for platform branding. Is it important for the audience to understand the meaning of it, or should our artwork be left to their observation and opinion? That's my question.
Whether the symbolism ataupun hidden detail to be recognizable by the audience ya, Dina.
Yes.
Kalau pendapat saya, Miss Flo sama Pak Denny, okay, itu lebih mudah kalau can be recognized, so that people understand why does that particular element has been created for that particular product. Kalau simply created without any meaning, I think it is a waste of time lah. Macam tu. Tapi saya nggak tahu kalau Pak Denny punya pendapat yang berbeda.
Gimana Pak?
Denny?
Symbolism, hidden message.
Ya, kita lihat konteksnya. Konteks mungkin ketika dia difungsikan untuk produk yang memang tidak sakral gitu, tidak selalu ini sih boleh digunakan gitu, simbol-simbol itu dalam konteks dia tidak sempurna hadirnya gitu. Misalnya simbolnya apa, dia harus hadir sempurna gitu ya. Tetapi dalam eksperimentasi eksplorasi tertentu mungkin bagian dari simbol itu bisa digunakan gitu ya, bisa digunakan sebagian kemudian diolah lagi gitu. Tapi yaitu simbol ini ketika levelnya simbol, maka dia itu punya nilai-nilai spiritual dan sakral gitu. Jadi rasanya hal itu sih nggak bisa digunakan sembarangan. Tetapi kalau bagian dari itu, nah, kan simbol itu banyak banget ya, bisa banyak banget yang bisa diambil, sebagian diambil kemudian digunakan untuk sesuatu yang lebih sopan, yang lebih kekinian, ya boleh aja sih. Lama-lama juga orang tahu kok itunya arahnya ke situ gitu. Kayak simbol batik yang sering digunakan oleh para raja ya, rasanya sekarang malah banyak digunakan jadi elemen estetik dimanapun gitu. Padahal itu tuh sakral banget, simbol banget gitu, nggak boleh digunakan gitu. Nah itu tapi kelihatannya sih memang ada gradasi gitu sih, ada perubahan gitu di Flow, dan harus hati-hati sih ya, terutama yang masalah religiusitas, masalah gitu sih, kayaknya harus hati-hati.
Okay. Dina, is it answer the questions? Or you have the follow-up questions?
Yes. You answer my question. Thank you,
Okay.
Miss Faiza and Pak Din.
You're welcome. Okay, students, please raise your hand if you want to ask directly or drop to the chat box. We still have time. It's a bit okay. Hajar.
About
Okay.
the
Yeah.
about the trend and culture, designer like to combine with between that. So if it can make impact to the authenticity, that heritage, and then how to keep it the identity of that heritage.
How to keep the identity of the heritage in design, maybe ya.
In of I mean that between of the trend and culture, is it can impact to the heritage, and then how to keep it.
Oke. Trend and culture, is it bisa berimpact ke heritage atau tidak dan bagaimana mempertahankannya seperti itu mungkin Pak Denny.
Ya.
Dr. Ija?
Kalau
Dr. Faiza.
okay, bila kita lihat trends, kita kena faham trends tu satu benda yang berbeza dengan culture. Culture tu budaya. Okay. Tapi trends tu adalah pembawaan. Itu trending. Okay. Tapi bila kita gabungkan dua benda ni, of course dia tak akan sustain. Dia tak akan sustain pada jangka masa yang lama. Mungkin pada paling lama boleh bertahan 1 atau 2 tahun. Dan dia akan berubah. Sama juga kalau kita buat poster hari raya. Okay. Dia punya hari raya Aidilfitri lah contoh. Okay. Dia punya trend tu untuk tahun tu mungkin fokus pada vectors sahaja. Tahun depan dia akan berubah pada visual. Gitu. Faham tak Aja? Sampai tak apa saya sampaikan?
Faham?
Faham. Okey. Itulah maksud saya. Maksud saya, dia tak semestinya akan prolong. Dia tak sustain. Sebab, tapi culture tu akan sustain. Budaya tu dia akan berpanjangan. Sampailah cucu saya, dia akan ambil budaya yang sama. Tapi pada zaman dia nanti, dia akan ada trend yang berbeza dah. Minat yang berbeza. Tak gitu Pak Denny?
Ya, ya, Dok. Ya, jadi budaya itu kan sifatnya dinamik. Dia ada value yang bisa tetap bertahan, tetapi ketika dia pada perupaan gitu, kalau memang dia rupa, itunya juga dia akan berubah gitu, dinamiknya, karena ada urusan sama media, perubahan media segala macam gitu kan. Nah, berarti yang harus dipertahankan justru pada nilai value-nya. Gotong royong, sopan santun, atau apa itu kan value gitu. Ketika dia dilahirkan menjadi sebuah visual dan diadaptasi menjadi sebuah desain, maka pada titik itu sih mungkin akan ada bahan yang bisa digunakan ya. Tapi nilai dasarnya, value, cultural value-nya itu rasanya itu yang sebenarnya agak DNA gitu. Dia akan tetap berada dalam entitas itu gitu. Dia akan tetap berada itu selama dia selalu menyadari akan asal-muasal identitas itu gitu. Tetapi secara visual dia akan pasti berubah gitu. Ya, anggaplah apakah backpack itu dulu seperti sekarang ini gitu. Ketika kita lihat misalnya di budaya Kalimantan, di Dayak gitu ya, kan ada backpack juga tuh, tas belakang. Nah, itu kan posisi itu untuk secara nilainya kan untuk melayani anaknya. Tetapi kalau sekarang ketika itu perubahan fungsinya sangat banyak karena perubahan ekologi, perubahan sosial, maka kalau backpacknya berbentuk Kalimantan itu yang ada manik-maniknya itu rasanya repot gitu. Tetapi dia kan fungsi dasarnya harusnya tiap melayani anaknya gitu. Seperti itulah kalau contoh yang paling mendasar sih. Jadi ya saya pikir sih tetap itu harus ada pendalaman artinya Pak Dokter. Jadi atau siapa tadi ya. Jadi harus ada mendalami lebih dalam tentang jangan hanya permukaan gitu. Apakah benar gitu misalnya nasi Padang itu nasi rendang itu apakah ada nilai value-nya gitu. Kalau misalnya kita lihat Canang itu adalah tempat ini di Bali ya untuk itu kan ada bunga-bunganya. Karena itu kan filosofinya luar biasa gitu. Tapi kalau kalau ketika orang Bali berada di Palu, ada di mana, maka tidak ada bunga-bunga itu gitu. Dia boleh menggunakan dengan yang lain, tapi substansinya kan tetap. Jadi kita harus punya pendalaman lebih dalam sih saat ini gitu. Apakah ke basis kultural, berbasis religiositas gitu. Tapi kita harus pendalaman itu. Jadi nilai value kultural value-nya tetap ada, titiknya mungkin berubah gitu. Dinamik lah seperti itu. Mungkin gitu sih.
Okay. Hajar,
Dia
is it answers the question? Hajar?
Ya,
dia
Okay.
dia
Rasa-
metafornya seperti manusia.
Manusia.
Macam
Bagaimana
mana?
tuh Miss Faiza?
Okay. Yang saya lihat culture, heritage, sustain. Okay. Culture tu manusia kan kita. Tapi trends tu adalah pakaian kita. Sampai satu tahap kita tak akan berada di muka bumi ni lama. Itulah sustainable. We do not sustain forever. Itu yang metafor dia.
Statistik metafor itu dokter.
That's good. Bagus ya, Mbak. Okay, Hajar, is it answer the questions?
yes, this answer my question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome Hajar.
You're
Okay. Miss Faiza and Pak Denny, mau pertanyaan lagi? Satu pertanyaan mungkin terakhir ya, before we close the online Gen class today.
Boleh.
Okay, the last lucky students before we close our sessions, please raise your hand. Kita tunggu. Satu orang terakhir penanya.
Mungkin dari Telkom mungkin.
Ya, dari Tell You. Satu orang beruntung yang menutup perjumpaan kita hari ini. Di Telkom nih kayaknya Said doang nih yang muncul ya. Said nanya lah Said. Sebagai closing Said.
Said.
Sebagai closing. Said mau nanya nggak sebagai closing?
Tapi jangan nanya umurnya saya berapa ya.
Masih 20 tahun ya, masih muda, 25. Said, come on. Maybe a short last questions before we close the session for today.
Okay, Miss.
All right.
So my question is, in your opinion, what is your favorite new trend in design right now, and why?
Me.
Just personally, personal favorite.
Yeah, personal favorite. Okay. Miss Faiza or Pak Denny first? Oh, Miss Faiza. Okay, Miss Faiza.
Kalau ditanya saya suka yang lebih simple. Nggak perlu apa yang rumit-rumit itu saya nggak suka. Saya suka yang lebih tenang, yang lebih simple, yang mudah dibaca gitu. Udah lanjut kan usianya. Gitu. Tenang-tenang
Masih
aja.
25, masih 25.
Alright.
Minimalism begitu ya, Miss
Yes.
Faiza.
Yes.
Okay.
But probably can add on with some maximalism by having some bold information inside. Probably that one. Yeah.
Pak Denny, how about Pak Denny?
Kalau aku sih ini lebih menyukai jika dalam desain itu ada simbol-simbol gitu ya, bukan simbol, ada metafor yang sangat aneh gitu, yang sangat mengejutkan, yang sangat impresif. Jadi semua elemen visual lain, baik tipografi atau apa itu akan terkalahkan gitu. Cuman itu yang beberapa yang saya suka, misalnya yaitu si Kenya Hara juga kan, itunya metafornya menarik, sangat sederhana, tapi ya seperti itulah gitu. Jadi tapi dia apa ya? Ya minimalismenya agak kurang suka saya gitu. Tapi metafornya suka.
Oh, oke. Mungkin lebih suka yang nyeleneh gitu Pak ya, nyentrik
Iya,
gitu Pak.
karena itu sangat impresif, sangat bisa menarik perhatian secara cepat gitu. Nanti kalau dia
Eye catching gitu ya Pak.
iya, kalau dia baca ke yang informasi lainnya kan awali dengan itu gitu. Dan ini rasanya udah berkurang loh. Jadi sekarang itu dominasi layout, dominasi gara-gara aplikasi gitu ya, software yang itu mengakibatkan bahasa grafis itu lebih itu berkurang loh. Padahal dulu itu sangat luar biasa kalau lihat desain-desain zaman dulu gitu. Walaupun saya bukan mau balik lagi ke zaman dulu ya, tapi rasanya itu harus dibalikin lagi di generasi yang baru yaitu membangun bahasa grafis atau metafora yang keren.
Tapi kan
Okay.
Pak Denny di sini kan bila I did my research on
Iya.
whether the current society accept hard sell atau soft sell kan,
Hmm.
mereka lebih terjebak atau terpesong kepada soft sell, metafor. Mereka lebih
Oh,
minat, ya,
itu ya. Itu ya.
ya di sini
Iya, iya.
lebih minat pada metafor berbanding hard sell.
Oh,
Bagi mereka hard sell itu kasar.
iya, iya.
Itu.
Apakah metafor yang itu butuh mempunyai kecerdasan membaca nggak, Dok?
Enggak, visual.
Oke.
Mm-mm.
Nah, itu.
Okay. Right, Said, thank you for the last questions.
Yes, finally.
Finally. Okay. Miss Faiza and Pak Denny, please give a final statement for our class for today before we end the session.
Pak Denny dulu.
Pak Denny
Oke.
boleh. Final
Oke.
statement, Pak.
Oke. Oke, kawan-kawan. Kita akan berhadapan dengan suatu dunia yang baru, dunia yang sangat luar biasa, berubah dengan cepat gitu ya. Maka pertama adalah kita harus punya kemampuan adaptasi dan percaya terhadap akal dan kreativitas itu hanya milik manusia. Dan kalau adaptasi itu bisa dilakukan, maka apapun yang terjadi, ada AI datang, ada IA datang, ataupun ada perubahan, maka sebenarnya kita akan kembali pada hakikat kita sebagai manusia, sebagai yang punya kreativitas yang tinggi. Dan kreativitas ide itu hanya satu yang hebatnya itu hanya ketika kita dekat dengan pencipta gitu. Kalau kita dekat sama pencipta, maka sebenarnya ide-ide keluar dengan baik. Kalau misalnya kita rada acak-acakan sih, sebenarnya agak susah tuh mencari ide yang baik. Gitu sih. So,
Okay. Thank you, Pak Denny. Miss Faiza, please.
Iya, kalau saya pula, satu yang harus we look after is time management lah, basically. Okay, walau apapun pergerakan trends yang ada di sini, in terms of execution, kalau kita tak punya time management yang betul, itu nggak bisa jadi. Jadi siapapun, walau saya sekalipun, time management itu sangat penting dalam kita menghasilkan satu-satu karya. Tapi kalau tiba satu saat kita udah capek, udah nggak bisa mikir apa kejadiannya, harus meditasi dulu, diam, pikirkan mana harus kita pergi, apa yang harus kita perbaiki, mana salahnya, ataupun ini udah cukup penghasilannya. Oke? Itu aja yang paling penting, time management.
meditasi
Okay.
dalamnya apa ya? Meditasi dalam desain ada prosesnya nggak?
Meditasi dalam desain itu tidur, Pak.
Tidur, benar Pak. Itu kayak semuanya tidak hanya dalam desain ya. All people sleep.
Oke.
Okay, Miss Faiza and Pak Denny, it's really nice presentation, it's really nice class for this afternoon. And students, before we end the session, please turn on your camera. We will have a photo sessions. Please turn on the camera. Okay, I saw some sleepy face. Tapi tidak ngantuk ya. Ini pembahasannya seru. It's really nice presentation hari ini ya, sore ini ya. Okay, ready? Give your best smile. Masih belum, masih kotak terakhir. Hayo, di open, please. Okay, almost complete. Two more people. Okay, ready? Yang berdua boleh berdua. Saya lihat ada dua orang itu, boleh berdua boleh. Okay, right. Yang bertiga, berempat, berlima boleh. Jangan di blur temannya Jojo. Coba jangan di blur. Coba not blur gitu, unblur. Biar supaya temannya ikut. Nah, ayo kita foto ya bersama ya. Please give your best smile. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. One more. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, thank you. Okay, before you leave, before we end the session, please check your chat box. I will send the feedback. If you want to get the certificate, please don't forget to fill out the feedback. Oke, terima kasih semuanya. Thank you so much all. On behalf of Telkom University, I would like to extend our deepest appreciation for your support and participation on this online joint class, a collaborative program between Telkom University and UITM Malaysia. We believe that you gain many new insights, yeah, and unforgettable experience maybe during the OGC for this afternoon. Here I bid you a goodbye. Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih, Dr. Faiza dan Bapak Denny.
Terima kasih semua Pak
Terima kasih.
Denny, ya,
Sama-sama.
Miss Flo,
Salam
sama
sama Pak Sofi.
ya, insya Allah, ya.
Kita
Nanti
Iya.
lagi
kolaborasi kayaknya ini penelitian.
ya.
Bikin penelitian bareng nih. Riset bareng,
Kurang
riset
jelas.
bareng. Riset bersama.
Bisa Pak Denny. Nanti mungkin kita bisa diskusi pasal ini nanti ya.
Oke.
Oke.
Ya, untuk Miss Faiza, tadi
Ya.
sempat bertanya soal ini ya, meeting sama kolaborasi international office ya. Ya, nanti kita hubungin ya, Miss. Kalau dari Miss sendiri, tanggal berapa atau jam berapa mungkin? Sudah ada rencana?
Saya let me see my schedule ya.
Tadi sudah diinfo ke Miss Astri mungkin atau belum? Sudah ya?
Tadi udah info sama Miss Astri, tapi kita belum
Oke.
on the dates and time. Probably next week Thursday I am quite free also.
Oke. Next week Thursday ya.
Yeah.
Untuk jamnya, any preference of date?
Morning will
Time? Morning ya, morning.
morning.
Oke. Jam
Oh,
berapa mungkin? Kalau di sini 1 jam lebih terakhir ya. Di Malaysia lebih awal.
Kalau saya ikut Miss Flo sama Miss Astri, mana yang lebih sesuai untuk kalian?
Oke, Thursday ya. Nanti saya diskusikan dengan manajer kami ya.
Oke,
Miss.
udah punya nomor phone saya nggak?
Oh, boleh.
Saya di chat box ya.
Ya, boleh, Miss. Di personal chat aja.
Oke.
Okay, all right. I'll send a message. I will talk to my manager about this collaborations meeting ya, Miss.
Okay, sure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time. Langsung 2 session a row ya, Miss Faiza. Pak Denny ini Miss Faiza langsung 2 sesi langsung ini full.
Luar biasa.
Kalau dulu ke Telkom terus, sepatutnya saya ke Telkom udah bincang sama Uci sama Miss Bani sepatutnya bulan 8 kalau tak silap saya kemarin, tapi udah punya program lain yang harus dihadiri, langsung kami cancel. No, not bulan 8, bulan 11, sorry. Sepatutnya ke sana, tapi itulah tak jadi kan. And at the same time we have one program internationalization juga, mungkin sama program DKV. Ini udah dibincangkan sama district officer di sini untuk punya foster family between 2 countries, Bandung dan juga di Perak Tengah. Di ini nanti kita akan lanjut lebih adakan rapat untuk bincang lebih lanjut.
Oke, oke. Thank you Miss Faiza for the time. Pak Denny juga. Terima kasih Pak untuk waktunya.
Sama-sama.
Ya, insyaAllah. Thank you, Pak Denny.
Sama-sama, Dok.
Miss Flo sama Miss Astri. Sama Said Ryan di situ dari pagi kameranya.
Paling ini ya, top dia.
Ya, langsung semua juga ya anak-anak di situ. Oke, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Saya izin keluar ya, Miss.
Mangga, mangga Pak Denny. Silakan selamat istirahat Pak.
Terima kasih.
Ya, sama-sama.
Thank you,
Terima kasih.
Miss.
Thank you.